Whenever you find a compliment about Genshin Impact on the internet, complaints about the gacha system are never far behind. The laughably low pull rate of 0.6% for the best 5-star units is often cited as the biggest complaint. It is an issue, but presumably MiHoYo profits from it heavily, so it's here to stay for better or worse. But there's an even deeper issue for both MiHoYo and players once you get that 0.6% that's arguably worse than the rate itself. Let's say you were lucky enough to pull K-Queen, best character in the game. Excitement is high. You've already made a Twitter post, and now you load her up, and she's level 1. Right, we need to do about 500 things before she's ready to use. In the average gacha, a new character may require some prep work before using, but the amount of effort to catch a character up only gets worse as the game goes on, as your resources dry up by the day without an effective way to replenish them. It feels like your character roast is heavily driven by your first 50 or so pulls as you're still below AR 20. As this forces your characters to be low enough that switching around to a new lucky pull doesn't require too much effort. But to pull K-Queen at Adventure Arc 45 requires the following to catch her up. 4,939,525 experience. With the best luck, this would cost you 37 Liline Outcrops for 740 resin. 46 Lightning Prism plus other purple elemental materials, assuming you get lucky drops. Let's call it 3 per fight for 640 resin. Dozens of prosperity volumes across all types, teachings, guides, and philosophies. And that's to get up to 8 of each skill. I couldn't find a super great resin guide for the drop rates on this, but with optimum luck, this would cost you 25 runs or so for 500 resin. 6 Ring of Boreas, which at best will cost you 360 resin if you're lucky. You need lots of lapis and nectar on a respawn timer based on the real world that requires constant farming, although there are no resin costs. Oh, and don't forget, lots of this costs more. Add 1,287,400 for leveling up, 420,000 for ascensions, and 1.5 million for talents. You can get marginal amounts of more from other sources, but just doing ley lines would run you an extra 1,000 resin, which totals a staggering 3,240 resin. It takes a day to generate 160 resin, which means it takes you over 20 days to have K-Queen ready to fight. The Abyss rotation will already have happened. And that's if you have a weapon and perfect artifacts at hand ready to equip as well, which you might at AR 45 or be happy to swap around. If you don't, I'm not going to do the math, but you can see from the above, it just raises the issue up exponentially, requiring a lot of resin to get weapon XP materials, plus grinding for good artifacts, the materials to level them up. In short, this is too much. Even if you get lucky and beat MiHoYo's system with that 0.6%, it's simply too much to ask to get a character ready to fight. Some of these resources can be bought with money, which of course MiHoYo wants, and that's probably the end goal after all, but the end of Tenha's video, where he bought Klee, really makes this hit home. He spends $1,200 for a perfect 6 constellation Klee and can't use it. He scrolls through his shop and he can't buy the materials to level it up. He can buy the resin refills, but if we step back a moment and imagine resin didn't exist, the sheer time it would take to do all of these activities is staggering by itself. Assuming 3 minutes per 20 resin spent, which is a very generous estimate, it's just over 8 hours of real time in resin for a fully powered character. Plus however many days you need to wait for Nectar and Core Lapis to respawn, plus do the run. I can't see it being less than 10 hours overall, and you need to be very efficient to get those kind of numbers. It's common to find this type of repetitive grinding gacha, but frankly it's too far. I've covered elsewhere why I believe Genshin's gacha is less gacha than its competitors in many ways. Ultimately, it's about 40 hours of quality content before you run into this gacha wall. The first 40 hours, the resource requirements are low, leveling up is fun, 1 sack of resin can be enough for an ascension. Plus you'll discover all sorts of resources just exploring the map. It can seem like you have infinite resources. But then you hit a wall. And personally, I'm only AR 38 and have 3 characters and weapons maxed out, and I don't fancy grinding another. I'm already prepared to do it for K-Queen, but if I pulled Klee tomorrow, I have 0 investment in any fire resources, so I'm not sure I could be bothered. And that's a big issue not only for the player, but MiHoYo. I'm not the type of player to wail, but let's say I did. I get my fancy 5-star, now I'm faced with a 10-hour grind to make her usable. When the next character comes out, am I really going to want to do that again? Every time? Considering the Abyss needs 8 characters minimum, ideally with flex slots for versatility? I'm getting the feeling, while this game held a magical 40 hours for me, now the quests have run dry and only the gacha grind remains. I don't know how long it will keep a hold of me. I'll come back for the next major content patch when the new region to explore comes around, as that's the best part for me. as it stands, the grind is simply asking far too much. Maybe they could implement a system where there's a massive event that gives these back to all players, but without something like that, it just seems unfeasible to keep going. What do you think? Please let me know in the comments, just like, have you been affected by this grind at AR45 and what's it like to level a new character up? I'm saying this hypothetically because I just don't look forward to the idea, but I haven't done it and I'd love to know, is it worth it for you? Have you got a clear and then spent 10 hours to get her ready at best, or just a bunch of money, or both? Well, you got a clear, maybe it is a bunch of money, but yeah, let me know in the comments down below and shoot me a like and subscribe if you've enjoyed the content. I would appreciate it, but that's entirely up to you. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.